Arjuna said, "O Janardana, O Kasava, if you consider intelligence superior to action, why do you urge me to engage in this dreadful battle? My mind is confused by your unclear instructions. Please guide me clearly on what would be most beneficial for me." The Supreme Lord said, "O sinless Arjuna, there are two paths to self-realization, one through philosophical inquiry and the other through devotional service. Freedom from reaction is not achieved by simply avoiding work, nor is perfection attained through renunciation alone. Everyone is compelled to act according to the influence of material nature, and cannot remain inactive, even for a moment. One who controls physical actions but lets their mind dwell on sense objects is self-deceived and considered a hypocrite. A sincere person who controls their senses with the mind and practices karma yoga without attachment is far superior. Perform your duties, as working is better than idleness. Even maintaining the body requires action. Work must be performed as a sacrifice to Vishnu, otherwise it leads to bondage. Therefore, O son of Kunti, fulfill your duties for his satisfaction to stay free from attachment. At creation, the Lord sent forth humans and demigods with sacrifices for Vishnu, blessing them. Perform sacrifices to attain happiness, fulfill desires, and achieve liberation. By offering sacrifices you please the demigods who in turn will bless you. Through this harmony prosperity will prevail for all. The demigods, satisfied by sacrifices, provide life's necessities. However, one who takes these gifts without offering in return is considered a thief. Devotees of the Lord are freed from sin by eating food first offered in sacrifice. Those who cook only for themselves consume sin instead. All living beings depend on food grains, which come from rain. Rain results from sacrifice, and sacrifice arises from fulfilling prescribed duties. The Vedas prescribing regulated activities originate from the Supreme Lord. Thus, the eternal transcendence is present in acts of sacrifice. Arjuna, anyone who neglects the Vedic cycle of sacrifice lives sinfully. A life focused solely on sense gratification is wasted. One who finds joy and fulfillment in the self, living a life of self-realization, has no obligations to perform. A self-realized person has nothing to gain or lose from performing duties and is independent of others.
One should perform duties without attachment to the results, as working without attachment leads to the attainment of the Supreme. Kings like Janaka achieve perfection through their prescribed duties. Therefore, to set an example for others, you should perform your work. People follow the actions of great individuals, and the world imitates the standards they set through their example. O son of Pritha, I have no duties to perform in the three worlds, nor do I lack anything. Yet, I still engage in prescribed duties. If I were to neglect performing my duties, O Partha, all people would follow my example. If I failed to perform my duties, the world would be ruined, leading to unwanted populations and disturbing the peace of all beings. Just as the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the wise should act without attachment, to guide others on the right path. To avoid disturbing the ignorant, who are attached to the results of their work, a wise person should not stop their activities. Instead, they should inspire them to work with devotion, guiding them toward the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. The soul, confused by false ego, believes itself to be the doer, although it is actually the three modes of material nature that carry out all activities. A person who knows the absolute truth, O mighty armed, refrains from indulging in the senses and sense gratification, understanding the distinction between devotional work and work for material rewards. The ignorant, confused by the modes of material nature, become fully engrossed in material activities and attachment. However, the wise should not disturb them, even though their duties are inferior due to a lack of knowledge. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrender all your actions to me with full understanding, without desires for personal gain, without attachment, and with determination, fight. Those who perform their duties as instructed by me, following this teaching without envy, are freed from the bondage of fruitive actions. Those who, out of envy, reject these teachings and fail to follow them, are devoid of knowledge, deceived, and doomed in their pursuit of perfection. A person acts according to their nature, shaped by the three modes of material nature. What can repression achieve? Attachment and aversion to sense objects are regulated by principles. One should not be controlled by them, as they hinder self-realization. It is better to imperfectly perform one's own duties than to perfectly perform another's. Failure in one's own path is safer than following another's, which is risky. Arjuna asked, O descendant of Vrishnis, what forces a person to commit sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if compelled? The Supreme Lord said, It is lust, Arjuna, arising from the material mode of passion and turning into wrath, that is the all-consuming sinful enemy of the world. Just as fire is covered by smoke, a mirror by dust, or an embryo by the womb, the living entity is obscured by varying levels of lust. Lust, the eternal enemy, covers the pure consciousness of the wise. It burns like fire and is never satisfied. Lust resides in the senses, mind, and intelligence, where it obscures true knowledge and confuses the living being. Therefore, O Arjuna, curb this sinful force of lust early by controlling the senses and destroying this enemy of knowledge and self-realization. The senses are above matter, the mind is above the senses, intelligence is above the mind, and the soul is above intelligence. Knowing oneself to be beyond the senses, mind, and intelligence, O Arjuna, one should steady the mind with spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and, with spiritual strength, conquer the insatiable enemy of lust.